Well, we welcome you back live here on the Formula Regional European Championship opening weekend of the 2025 season here at Misano on Acci Racing Weekend as well. All 26 drivers on the grid, 10 cars lining up, 10 teams, should I say, lining up on the grid ready for the final race of this weekend. And on the front row, it's the pairing that we were, of course, expecting to be fast all weekend, the likes of Freddie Slater and Evan Gilter. And now we head down to the grid with Laura.
So Ivan, pole position after setting a record time in qualifying. Very well done, race 1-2, finishing second. Looking to go one better this time?
Yeah, really happy about what happened this morning. Now we have to look forward and to maximize everything to get the win and to get the maximum point as possible for the team.
Good luck.
Obviously a big weekend here for Evan Gilter, the Formula Regional Middle Eastern champion, looking to contest against the reigning Italian F4 champion, Freddie Slater. He did a brilliant job yesterday in the race to keep himself in second place. We're back with Laura and Freddie Slater.
Freddie, you are stepping in as the reigning Formula 4 champion. You got spun from pole yesterday, so looking to bounce back today?
Yeah, unfortunate contact yesterday, but full focus on this race. We'll see what we can do from P2, and it's going to be a long race, so we can see what we can do in the end if we don't get off the line, but yeah, we'll see.
Good luck.
Cool, calm and collected Freddie Slater, despite coming toe-to-toe, incidentally, obviously with another rival up at the front end, Hayu Yamakoshi, who, as a consequence of the contact that was sustained between himself and Freddie Slater, he has received a 4-place grid penalty ahead of this one. So he's starting a little further back than perhaps he may have planned, but never catch out, or should I say Jin Nakamura, he came into contact with, I do apologize, Jin Nakamura coming into contact with Freddie Slater, as a result receiving a 4-place grid pen, and he moves down to P12 on the grid alongside Jack Beaton ahead of our race coming up now very shortly. As you can see now, the marshals just giving the drivers a moment. We're coming down to the final moments before we do head in, of course, to our formation lap. Before then, we line up again to once again see the lights go green and get racing back underway. But today has been also a celebration of the new drivers we have in this field. We had an autograph session earlier on today, allowing the fans here on Acci Weekend to come and, well, allow the drivers to introduce themselves, and we can introduce you to the starting grid as well to boot. Evan Gilter for ART starts on pole position after setting a record lap time here in this championship here at Misano. Freddie Slater in second place with Matteo De Palo on the second row in third. Enzo Dellini lines up in fourth. Fifth place went to Pedro Clero, holding the race lap record, incidentally, at the moment. Rashid El Dahiri in sixth place. Dion Gouda down in seventh with Akshay Bora down in eighth spot for RAce GP. Nandavad Biram Bhakti in 9th with Nikita Bedrin starting from 10th place. Jack Beaton in 11th. Jin Nakamura, after receiving the 4-place grid penalty, as I said earlier on in the show, 12th place is where he'll start on the grid. Ahead of action we're going to be bringing you just shortly. 13th place, as we now move on down, it's Hayu Yamakoshi, who'll be starting alongside Taito Kato in that 14th position. 15th place, Kanato Lei will be lining up alongside Enzo Yer, who is starting from 16th. Enzo Peugeot as well, starting 17th on the grid. Giovanni Maschio in 18th, with 19th going to Kasper Stuka. And Ruiki Liu, as you can just see us looking at the 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th grid positions thus far. Huge opportunities here for Yamakoshi as well, much like Enzo Peugeot. Maschio starting alongside him. We mentioned Kasper Stuka starting from 19th. He also got spanned, didn't he? Heading through turn 2. He'll be met by Ruiki Liu, who was also right in the heart of the action yesterday for Trident. Eduard Borgner starting from 21st. Aditya Kulkarni starting from 22nd on the grid for the new Axel GP team. Valerio Rinicella and Arthur Agurta starting on the same row, with Sakir Al-Moshiri starting from 25th. And Tim Gerhards, who had all his lap times deleted after an infringement off the back of qualifying. Unfortunately for Tim Gerhards, all his qualifying laps were deleted after the floor was found to be non-compliant in breach of FRECA Technical Regulation Article 3.7 and Article 19.14. So therefore had to be pushed to the back of the grid, obviously still able to take the start. Obviously, Also, some housekeeping for you all. Matteo De Paolo off the back of winning yesterday, taking Trident's first victory, not only his own first victory here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, but also Trident's, with Pedro Cleiro, as I stated earlier, taking the race lap record yesterday with a 1:29.951 in our first visit to Misano. Of course, in terms of qualifying laps, overall fastest laps, we have, of course, witnessed Evan Gilter punch in quite a decent lap time in his own right to go overall the fastest driver. As we now have the final cars ushering their way onto their grid spots. Of course, George Morgan here, your commentator, ahead of the final race of this Misano Acci race weekend. Who is going to come out on top? Slater on the left as you're looking at it. On the right-hand side, the ART belonging to Evan Gilter, as all 5 lights get lit, and it's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 and it's a great start for Evan Gilter. Cuts away in front of the Prema belonging to Freddie Slater. In behind, we got the Trident and also the RACE GP coming toe-to-toe as they sprint down through towards turn 2. It is still Gilter looking to power his way onwards and indeed upwards. We just saw Jack Beaton just curtailing a couple of cars going off wide, coming out of turn 2 through towards turn 3, but it's the young Frenchman, the Formula Regional Middle Eastern champion, who leads the way, with Slater in second place as well. Matteo De Paolo getting a confident start, with Enzo Dellini locked in behind him as well. He's been unfortunately usurped over that third place, with Pedro Cleiro and Aldahiri down in 6th as well. Dion Gouda, Nikita Bedrin down in 8th as they now all filter through, heading around the next left-hander before then venturing in towards turns 9 and 10 out of Quercia corner, now in towards Tramonto. It is still Gilter who leads the way. Slater now nursing a half a second gap in between himself and his rival off the front row. And further back also we have Biran Bakhti, but just look at this, some side-by-side action as we now watch them fly down through towards the next right. Just look at it now, Akshay Bora looking feisty as well. And we're also seeing one of the Premas tying up. That's Jack Beaton, who is obviously looking to try and raise the stakes as Biran Bakhti holds firm and retains the place ahead of Akshay Bora, who's been fighting tooth and nail alongside him now as once again they run wheel to wheel. That's ART meeting Prema, Taito Kato and Jack Beaton wheel to wheel. The 2 RPMs are also side by side. We saw a little bit of that between Enzo Peugeot and Enzo Yeh. A double Enzo, or at least an Enzo double act in yesterday's fray, and it looks like once again we're going to be seeing something similar from RPM this time. But as they begin the next lap, it is still Evan Gilter who leads the way, being closely pursued by Freddie Slater. Matteo De Paolo still very much part of this lead battle. The top 3 are covered by 1.2 seconds as they now head down in towards the next right. A little look from Taito Kato again, and now once again the 74 RPM diving in very deep. Indeed, that's Enzo Peugeot on the attack as he did, and sometimes those moves certainly do pay off. They did pay off for him once before. It got a little bit scrappy between he and his teammates yesterday, as I mentioned. Enzo Yeh being part of that scrap. Yeah, currently sat down in 20th place as now we see the 19 making its way around. That's Kanato Lei, who was a bit of a glutton for punishment yesterday. His tyres just wearing down a little bit too quickly. Is now a very major launch from Taito Kato, who's trying to take on Jin Nakamura, who's looking to fight his way back up through the field as we now rejoin the action with Pedro Cleiro now go wheel to wheel this time around. Aldahiri looking to try and remove that 5th place away from him in the Yas Heat livery, as you can see, but the Tiger line favouring Pedro Cleiro, and he will retain that 5th spot. But Aldahiri is certainly not giving up. He's coming around those final few corners. Of course, remember, he took the fight to Evan Gilter in yesterday's race where they were battling over P2, and Cleiro was very much part of that as well, managing to rein in that fastest lap of the race and confirming our fastest lap to date in terms of a race lap record here at Misano in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, as they now come through turn 1s and 2 and 3 once again. 26 minutes and 40 to go. Plenty of time for some action to certainly unfold here in the course of this race. Fastest lap for Freddie Slater thus far with a 1:30.553. And now beckoning through sector 1. They'll then pivot and curtail down the next straight coming through turn 7. Quercia corner coming up next. As I said yesterday, meaning tree, just due to the old tree that has stood very tall and for a long period of time here at Misano, which has, of course, undertaken a few changes in its time. Circuit opening up on the 4th of August back in 1972, so it's seen its fair share of racing action, named after the local motorcycle racer Marco Simoncelli. here at the Misano Adriatico. As now the drivers fly down this back straight in towards turns 12, 13 and 14. Freddie Slater on taking the fastest lap, would ideally like to convert it to a race win if possible, as now we see a lovely switchback this time from Ashke Bora, who's once again on the attack in the RSGP machine, with Biren Bakhti still holding firm and defending hard against him. He's had to do that already a few times before. Dion Gouda, the highest placed rookie at the moment, looking to go back-to-back with rookie race wins so far after successfully taking it yesterday. Despite achieving that, wasn't obviously too happy with his own race, felt that he could have achieved a lot more for Van Amersfoort Racing, but Danielle Gilles has a huge amount of confidence in her team. We look back at some of the drivers that have performed in the realms of Van Amersfoort in the past. We look at the likes of Kaz Havercourt, who was also successful in his own right over the few years that he did compete in this series. As Freddie Slater once again sets the fastest lap of the race, still haunting that rear wing on Gilles Terre's car. He's not going to make it easy for the young Frenchman. But remember, it was Gilles Terre who was successful earlier this year. Mattia De Parlo also not out of this either, but is seeing himself drift out just a little bit. 3/10 more than what we saw before as Valerio Rinicella goes slightly defensive in the sole CL Motorsport car for Jack and David Lee's team. Had the fortunate opportunity to catch up with them over the weekend with the entry of a brand new team. It's always exciting in Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, and we've got two of them this season with Axel GP also coming in to join the series, led by Matthew Norman, and the team based in Italy as well. So very much a home venture for them, rising up through the realms of Formula 4, much like CL Motorsport, so sharing a similar heritage in terms of how the team have developed somewhat in recent times. CL Motorsport also jumping straight into F4 machines, eventually finding themselves here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Fastest lap this time for Mattia De Parlo, yesterday's race winner. Ushering in the big numbers. Moving from Santalok last season, now making home this time at Trident. We've seen obviously Roman Belinsky as well as Tim Tramnitz in the past, representing, of course, Leonardo Fornaroli. We cannot forget his achievements in recent times, becoming the FIA Formula 3 champion. As they now race down out of turn 7, down the semi-straight before venturing in towards turn 8 at Quercia. Very much in the middle sector now this time, and flying down in towards Tremonto out of turn 9 as well. But a very positive start here from Gilles Terre, who is adding another 10th in his gap between himself and Freddie Slater, as now we have wheel-to-wheel once again. Akshay Bora, who has been left frustrated by Nandavad Biren Bakhti. We've also got Al Dahiri all over the back of Pedro Clero again. So a couple of fights starting to unfold as they now fly, heading out of turn 13, heading down towards Carrow Corner at 14th. Will Rashid Al Dahiri now plumb for the move this time. He tried countless occasions to do this with Evan Gilles Terre yesterday. Still denied here by Pedro Clero. And Akshay Bora has overtaken Nandavad Biren Bakhti. He's moved up into 9th place. Fantastic move for Bora. So a wonderful effort from him to capture 9th place and a higher placing in this top 10. Young man Akshay Bora, who finished 9th yesterday, as Enzo Dellini picks up the fastest lap of the race so far. And it's been a positive response to the first race of the weekend by our race as a whole. I mean, Enzo Dellini performed valiantly in qualifying, starting 4th on the grid, and that's Giovanni Maschio, and that looks like some extensive damage on the RPM car, but thumbs up from Maschio, just letting the marshals know that he's okay. And a red flag has been called out onto the track, so all the cars must return to the pit lane as the marshals will work on clearing the stricken RPM machine that has unfortunately found home in the barriers. Not an ideal start to the weekend. In fact, a safety car has now been called out onto the circuit, so a change in perspective at the moment. The red flag converted to the safety car by race control. As they now head down through the latter part of this circuit. Still 21 minutes to go. No doubt Maschio is being attended to by the marshals at the moment, with the car being where it is. very soon we will get back underway. Here's the moment again. This is coming down the long straight, so it'll be interesting to see how that occurred. So it was on the exit, and that's a big impact into the barrier, concrete barrier on the left-hand side. Almost requisite of what we saw from a little while ago at Mugello. Of course, we saw... Oh, yes. I mean, that's a bit of an impact there indeed for poor Giovanni Maschio, and that'll see his weekend come to a very quick ending. But with the yellow flags out, obviously the driver's now slowing down to the correct delta in order to allow the marshals to deal and attend to the incident out on circuit. Still the fastest lap being held by Enzo Dellini, who steps into this series, the young man from Shanghai, China, but also French-Chinese as a driver. Various karting successes from 2016 to 2022, but has taken a single-seater since Spanish F4 back in 2023, becoming the rookie champion, finishing 4th in the championship overall with 2 wins and 10 podiums. And then moving on into Italian F4 and Euro 4 before then, the following year, finding himself in F4 UAE and, of course, debuting in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine last season. And a decent spell in the Macau Grand Prix as well in 2024, finishing 4th. And not doing too badly either in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship with a victory there and finishing 5th in that championship with 3 podiums. So certainly no stranger to success is young Enzo Dellini, only 17 years of age, currently sat 4th in the classification thus far, matching the grid spot that he started with. Has got a solitary point under his belt after finishing in P10 yesterday. Just 1 step behind his own teammate Akshay Bora, who hails from New York City in the United States. A little bit older than Enzo Dellini, but only 18. German Junior Kart Championship champion back in 2021, taking part in Ginetta Juniors in 2022. Following that, single-seater debuts came along with US Racing in Italian F4's final round at Mugello. And then in 2023, Italian F4, once again with US Racing, finishing 8th in the series. But after that, Euro 4 is where he became a champion with 2 wins and 3 poles for US Racing, and now finding himself in R-Race GP. Quite the talent. We have got confirmation, folks, that the safety car is coming in this lap now this time, so it's all on Evan Gilter as he picks up the pace coming around the final corners. As now he beckons his way around turn 16, around Misano. Green flags now being waved by the marshals, and now once more we'll put pedal to the metal, this time for the 2nd time in this race now. And Gilter flies in towards turn 1. Freddie Slater getting a decent restart, but so did Matteo De Paolo, who has taken full advantage now with the safety car to allow himself to catch back up with the rest of the runners right up at the front. And further back, we've got some close action between Nikita Bederin and Gouda as well. And down the inside comes Rashid Al Dahiri, trying to catch Pedro Clero late in the day. Now, did he manage to make the move stick? He certainly did. And Nikita Bederin up into 7th as well. So immediately some changes after the safety car has come back into the pit lane. And indeed, it looks like Rashid Al Dahiri consolidating that place. And now around the outside comes as well Akshay Bora, looking to take on Dion Gouda, as now we have once again more wheel-to-wheel action. Several cars now looking to plump for moves now as Enzo Dellini looking for 3rd place against Matteo De Paolo as they now fly through the middle sector, now coming out of turns 9 and 10 at Tremonto. And quite the change now happening inside the top 10 as we now see yet more of them going wheel-to-wheel. And this time, it looks like Akshay Bora is going to have Dion Gouda's number, despite Gouda looking to try and reply. Unable to do so, and Boris holding on, and here comes Rashid Al Dahiri once again, trying to tackle Enzo Dellini, who's looking to try and retain that 4th place. Remember, Dellini was trying his luck on Matteo De Paolo earlier on, and that opened the door for Al Dahiri. But now, in return, back comes Pedro Clero for Van Amersfoort Racing, and he does move back up again into the place that he originally lost against Al Dahiri. And now Nikita Bederin wants a piece of the pie. Around turn 1 they go. The young Santalog driver plows on through and moves now further up inside that top 10. 6th place in the palm of his hands. Remarkable efforts there, taking full advantage, and fortunate there, unfortunately, for Rashid Al-Dahiri, more wheel-to-wheels as well further back with Jin Nakamura looking to find his way through. And it looks like he might have just managed to do so as well. He is not the only one, of course. Yamakoshi also up into 12th place, as now we see yet more moves coming down the inside once again. And Rashid Al-Dahiri, this time at the mercy of Akshay Bora. Wheel-to-wheel, they're going to go now. R-Ace versus Prema. How many times have we seen this over the years in this championship? And a switch back, and the tail is stuck out. Oh my goodness, the 55 of Dion Gouda has collected Rashid Al-Dahiri, and also Akshay Bora, who is now in the gravel trap. Thankfully, he gets it back away again, but just look at that front left on Dion Gouda's car. The front left tyre separated from, well, not necessarily separated, it is still attached. But the safety car is now back out onto the circuit, as we now see side-by-sides again, this time between Nanavid, Bir and Bhakti. And I think that's Jack Beaton as well. Now this is the moment, just getting caught very narrow to the inside of the apex, onto the grass. As soon as that had happened, coming around turn 10, he found himself careering into the side of the R-Ace GP car, belonging, of course, to Akshay Bora. And it looks like there's some, you can see just as he was spinning, the Yasheet liveried Prema belonging to Rashid Al-Dahiri. Looks like there was some suspension damage on the front right of his car as well. So the incident, I can confirm, at turn 14 between cars 89 and 11 is under investigation, folks. So that's cars belonging to Taito Kato and Jin Nakamura. So that's being investigated at the moment by race control. We'll keep you updated as time draws onwards, but at the moment it's still Evan Giltaire. No changes up at the very front, and I can confirm that the incident involving the 11 car of Jin Nakamura and the 89 belonging to Taito Kato will be investigated after the race. So do stay tuned and find out where that's going to go post-race, everybody. But now we're back under safety car conditions with 13 minutes and 44. And also the incident involving the 55 of Dion Gouda. And on top of that, the 14 as well of Al-Dahiri. That's Rashid Al-Dahiri in the Yasheet Prema, with also Akshay Bora. That will also be investigated after the race. So stay tuned as to where those go come the very end of the day. But I get the feeling that maybe there might be something coming Dion Gouda's way, unless there was a mitigating factor that found him in on the grassy verge. But an unfortunate moment, and I've got to give credit where credit's due. I had a chance to talk to Rashid Al-Dahiri's father earlier on today. So proud of his son and what he's achieved, and I have to say I was very impressed with how he performed yesterday, really taking the fight to Evan Giltaire in a bid to try and take that P2. Unfortunately, it was just a very well executed bit of driving from Giltaire, utilising the push to pass right at the very end. He saved them for the last lap to protect that P2 finish. And he knows more than anyone, of course, that consistency really helps on the day. Now just look at how aggressive Freddie Slater's looking, all over the back of the ART belonging to Evan Giltaire. Very keen to get a decent restart because he knows that this can make the big difference. We got talking to Freddie Slater. He was under no illusions, much like various drivers on the grid, understanding that it's not easy to overtake at Misano, despite us seeing so many straight away at the restart, but this is exactly it. The restarts are so useful to all of these drivers, as now the foot goes to the floor for Evan Giltaire once again, the pace picking up. And as they round the final corner at Misano, out of turn 16, they'll put pedal to the metal for the third time in this race now. Green flag's being waved by the marshals, and Giltaire gladly obliges. Through turn 1, they will go. No opportunity for Slater to get the move, or at least get close to making one for first place just yet. Giltaire keen to carry them onwards, as now we see them all tie up further back as well. In behind, Yamakoshi getting close to the back of Jack Beaton, and also further back as well as Nikita Bedrin goes up the inside with a very delayed move coming through in towards turn 3. That was a stunning effort there from Nikita Bedrin, who now brushes ahead of Pedro Clero, who is still fighting for the major results, and the Santaloc driver now finds himself inside that top 5 now as they once again go wheel to wheel. This is the number 6 of Yamakoshi, this time going side by side with Jack Beaton. He was threatening this earlier on. Beaton managing to retain that P8 as back again comes Yamakoshi. Looked to the inside to try and double back behind the Prema, but Beaton was very aware of it, the young man from the Gold Coast, and able to hold position at least for now. But we've still got 10 minutes and 50. Yamakoshi could still yet get him, as now we watch, as once again more wheels to wheels, and now almost Beaton-esque here, this time around from Pedro Clero, who's looking to try and tag back against Nikita Bedrin, dancing around this right-hander. Off the track goes Bedrin, as now they fly coming through out of Caro corner. Bedrin, unfortunately for him now, back down in 6. Pedro Clero reclaiming that P5, as now they fly around turn 16 once more to begin the next lap. Just over 10 minutes and 20 still to go. We also have a safety car incident under investigation as well. Car's number 45. Now that's Jack Beaton. And car 7 belonging to Nandavad Birenbhakti. That's also under investigation at the moment by race control. So more news to come furthermore for those drivers out on track right now as we watch Enzo Dellini fly through out of turn 3, down through towards turn 4 once again. I'll tell you what, plenty of action for you all at home to enjoy. Certainly more action-packed than the race we had yesterday. We've had some moves as well further back in 21st place. It's, by the looks of it, Rashid Al-Dahiri has managed to carry on, so credit to him. It looked like there might have been perhaps a suspension issue earlier on, but seemingly not. It looks like he's remaining out, so no problems for Rashid Al-Dahiri, it would seem. And certainly given the fact that he's managed to pass Arthur Agurta to move into 21st. So credit to Rashid Al-Dahiri. He's already making more moves as well, it would seem. Certainly on the move as it stands, as they now fly through the latter part of this lap. A little gap starting to form now between Nikita Bedrin and Nandavad Birenbhakti, as once again we see the RSGP cars. A little side-by-side as well further back with a G4 racing machine. Also looking to dance with a, well, looks to be one of the Tridents. As they now come around the final corner once again, there's Jack Beaton. Further back as well, we see Kanato Lay, also part of this, seemingly not dropping down like he was before in the ART. Started 15th on the grid. Is actually 2 places up on where he started, so starting to find his feet out there at Misano. Some of the drivers taking yesterday's results and the experience out on track as additional testing in order to grow in for this second race and look ahead to future rounds. Of course, we've got plenty of action to bring you across this season, 10 rounds in total in this championship. Next time around, we'll be heading to the hills and forests of Stavelot for the home of the Belgian Grand Prix, Spa-Francorchamps. So now we watch Freddie Slater still persevering and chasing down after Evan Gilter. I have to say, Matteo De Parlo becoming a little bit more of a threat again, looking to chase for back-to-back victories. You never know, he might be able to pull this off. And now, once again, this is the G4 racing car I think we were looking at earlier on. And indeed, it would seem that Edouard Borgner coming under threat this time. Actually, Bora just in front of him. So the cars, once again, fly down through the final corners on this lap, coming through Caro at turn 14, around in turn 15 before they reach the final bend with 7 minutes and 30, plus 1 lap still to go. It's Gilter nursing a half a second gap. The gaps are equal between the top 3 with 5/10 between Gilter and Slater. De Parlo also 5/10 back from Slater as well. So it's starting to bring that gap straight back in, and no doubt the push to pass that they can use 5 times through the course of a race. And for 15 seconds each time, Enzo Dellini setting the fastest lap of the race for the 1:29.981, still hovering in 4th and trying to close the gap on Matteo De Parlo. He's bringing along Pedro Clero in for the ride as well. Not quite as high up this time, Pedro Clero, after being 4th place in yesterday's race, was obviously chasing a top 3 spot and ideally a podium. But he has promised victories already this weekend, at least some point during this season, which I'm sure Daniel Gil, the team boss at Van Amersfoort Racing, the team manager, is certainly going to hold him to it. But she also believes that he will as well. And we get confirmation that the moment involving cars 45, of course belonging to Jack Beaton, and the 7 of Nandavad Birenbhakti are currently 7th and 8th. Birenbhakti there as well. There's some cars going off in the gravel further back. Now, I'm not quite sure who that is. Looks like it might have been Kanato Lay, and indeed it was. Enzo Peugeot, though, who currently sits in front of him on our classification, is going around the outside here and looking to try and take down Taito Kato as they now go wheel to wheel, coming in towards the next right, venturing out of Caro Corner at turn 14. Was unable to make the move stick, Enzo Peugeot, as it looks like Tim Gerhards has lost a fleet of positions as well, as dropping back through the order. Whether that's a transponder issue, I'm not quite sure, or whether it's just an error of his own making, down into 23rd. Fastest lap this time again from Freddie Slater, 1:29.727. I think it might be the transponder, I think, on this occasion, but we will update you folks if there has been any moments. So now we watch as the 22 belonging to Pedro Clero looks to hunt down after Enzo Dellini. We have got a safety car, so that does go to show that something has indeed happened out on track. So the cars have been asked to come back down to Delta. I was watching the cars, and indeed that is Tim Gerhardt. So there was a reason for the name to fall downwards through the classification. It's been a very, very disappointing weekend for him. Wasn't able to take the start of the race yesterday, had a clutch issue of his own, and then obviously with the underfloor not meeting the expectations of the technical regulations in place here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. He had all of his laps deleted in qualifying, started from the back, and it would seem that now his car has come to a very firm stop. So once again, the cars get grouped back together. Now essentially, we're in a sprint race scenario with 4 minutes and 30 to go. And of course, with the additional lap, but at the moment it is Gilter, who is led all the way at the moment. Would love to take it from, indeed, lights to flag, to take a first victory, to follow suit from winning in the first round on debut at Hockenheim last season with the ART team. For a debut full season stint anyway, as the marshals guide the drivers from the stricken Santaloc. But great to see Tim Gerhardt here. Nonetheless, Santaloc, of course, a relatively new team to this series, one of the newest indeed, or certainly not out of the two that have just joined us this campaign. But of course, we look back as, you know, a sports car team to begin with that have since moved into single-seater competition and steadily started growing. Of course, we look back at Matteo De Parlo, who was part of their team. Well, now he's a race winner this time. Can confirm that the incident involving Cars 50, that is, of course, Tim Gerhardt's in the car number 12, belonging also to Valerio Rinicella. That apparently was the other driver involved in the skirmish around turn 14. That incident will be investigated after the race, much like the others we have received so far. And Rinicella, incidentally, apparently is in the pits, so no doubt getting an inspection, just making sure the car's okay before he heads either back out again, or they might even decide to retire the car, but we'll wait and see. Obviously representing CL Motorsport, and that's their only runner in this race. Incidentally, Rinicella only in for this round for the team, as they'll, I'm sure, be announcing their full driver rostrum very soon. We look forward to seeing who they bring to the table to take part, because we have seen the likes of Matteo Capietto testing over the winter. Of course, not confirmed as to whether he will be taking his seat just yet, but you never know. Well, of course, wait and see, and the news will be available to you on social media when the time does indeed come. You can check out the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine Instagram page as well for additional updates, including race results and, of course, notices. You can also check out some of the action from our driver signing day here on Acci Racing Weekend. Plenty more of those to come as well. We have 2 additional Acci Racing weekends to come, with 2 left. Obviously, round 6, Imola being one of them on the 1st to the 3rd of August, and Monza for the grand finale of the season's campaign at the Temple of Speed on the 24th to the 26th of October to end the season, where I'm sure we'll be looking forward to crowning a champion. But out of this bunch, it could be anybody's at this stage. Evan Gilter, though, round in the final corner, and as he beckons around, green flags are indeed waved. or waved, and we do put pedal to the metal for the 4th time in this race now. And indeed, Evan Giltert flying through towards turn 1. Freddie Slater just in behind. Mathieu De Pallo getting a decent getaway as well. Also getting a reasonable start is Jin Nakamura, who now looks to make some places. Running a little bit wide, though. Pedro Clero may have sacrificed a little bit of speed there and momentum, instead favouring perhaps Nikita Bedrin to get a little bit closer. And indeed he is. He's managed to close right to the back of that rear wing. And equally also Enzo Peugeot, who has fought his way to be on the cusp of the top 10, sits in P12, and he is certainly no stranger to making major moves when the time allows. And now indeed a very late look to the inside. Again, this time from Enzo Dellini, keen to unsettle Mathieu De Pallo in a bid to try and take a podium away overall, as now he looks to the outside once again. The RHGP driver hunting down after the Trident. Mathieu De Pallo committing to the inside as they come out of turn 10 at Tremonto, and now darts immediately to the inside before then weaving to the outside. Just keenly trying to break the toe. Dellini having none of it and chasing him around this next soiree of corners. And now further back, Jack Beaton also coming side by side here with Nandavad Birenbhakdi. And Beaton, who is now looking to surge up into P7, consolidates that place as well. Fabulous effort from him as Nikita Bedrin starts to draw swords as well with other cars in amongst him. That includes Pedro Clero, Jack Beaton as well. Well, I'm sure be looking to join that group. But Enzo Dellini still persevering after Mathieu De Pallo. It is still De Pallo in 3rd, Dellini in behind him. Clero holding on as well to that 5th place as now again another look this time from Hayu Yamakoshi, who's also on the tail this time of Nandavad Birenbhakdi. Nakamura also part of this as well, as we now watch as Giltert flies around on the final lap of the race. The checkered flag now in waiting as the timer has ticked to 0. So if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen here and now. Giltert and Slater, they've been left to their own devices. The only two up at the front that are grouped together within 0.6 of a second. Defensive-minded there from Taito Kato, looking to hold on to that 11th. Enzo Peugeot very close to the back of him as now we watch Giltert fly through this middle sector. And now coming into the long back straight, which will take him in towards turns 11 at curve 1. And down through 13, in towards Carrow Corner at 14. And this is where Slater will have a chance to risk it for a potential victory, his first of the season. But Giltert also looking for his as well. Mathieu De Pallo certainly won't be taking another one. And that's a very, very aggressive look from Freddie Slater, but unsuccessful this time around. And exiting out of turn 15. They'll shortly come around turn 16 at Misano to end the weekend in grand style from lights to flag. Once more in the opening weekend, Giltert's a race winner. The Frenchman takes it. The Middle Eastern champion brings home the spoils for ART with Freddie Slater this time. He said all he wanted to do was make it past turn 2 this time, and didn't he just? 2nd place, converting turn 2 into position 2 as the checkered flag comes out with Mathieu De Pallo coming home in 3rd, and that's the fastest lap for Freddie Slater to boot. And a brilliant race for Enzo Dellini. Started 4th, finishing in 4th. Pedro Clero in 5th with Nikita Bedrin down in 6th. Jack Beaton down in 7th. We'll run through the full classification later on, folks. But what a result for young Evan Giltert, the Frenchman who promised that he would achieve pole earlier on today, this morning. And after talking to him, he certainly did achieve that. And as I said, renditioning off the back of the logo on the front of his helmet, he is absolutely loving it. Brilliant drive from the young Frenchman. And now he'll look on to the rest of the season. Looking to go back-to-back in terms of Formula Regional Championships with crowns. Obviously still a long way to go before we get there. But for now, your winner, Evan Giltert for ART. After 18 laps concluded, he's a victor for the first time this season. Freddie Slater in 2nd. Mathieu De Pallo, another podium in 3rd. Enzo Dellini in 4th. Pedro Clero in 5th. Nikita Bedrin in 6th. Jack Beaton in 7th. Nandavad Birenbhakdi in 8th. Hayu Yamakoshi in 9th. And Jin Nakamura in 10th place. Further back, down in 11th, we have Taito Kato with Enzo Peugeot down in 12th as well. Ruiki Liu In 13th, we have Kasper Stuka down in 14th. Enzo Yer in 15th with Akshay Bora down in 16th for our race. Rashid Al Dahiri down in 17th place. Kanato Lay 18th. Edouard Borgner finishing in 19th too, with Sakir Al-Moshari finishing in 20th. Borgner, incidentally, I think, taking the highest place rookie award, with Arthur Agurta down in 21st. And of course, we had retirements for Valerio Rinicella, who did not leave the pits afterwards either. With further retirements for Tim Gerhards, Dion Gauda, Giovanni Maschio, and Aditya Kulkarni. But incredible. What a race to cap off the weekend. We may have had our fair share of thrills and spills with safety cars coming out, but Misano has certainly delivered in its first weekend as part of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine here on Acci Sports Weekend 2. But Gilter will be the happiest of all of them. After coming in this season, it all began really at Hockenheim for him last campaign. Never really got much better than that last season, but now back again at the start of this season, and that's 2 podiums he has ushered in now after finishing second in yesterday's race, defending very well against a very fast Rashid Al Dahiri, who did a mighty job to bring the car home in 17th, fought his way back up the field after the issues during the spin, which I must say I thought the damage was visible on the front right, but it seemingly must have been the angle of the camera as we were looking at it. Rashid Al Dahiri managing to take it to the checkered flag, so a grand effort from him. But Freddie Slater getting out of the cockpit, you'll be delighted at least to kick his season off with a strong podium result. As parking up into third goes Matteo De Parlo. His second visit to Parc Fermé inside the top 3, with squeezing through the middle, Evan Gilter. And I'm sure it won't be the first time we see this season. Plenty more to come from this young man. Carries a very strong attitude, a very positive one, representing his team very well. And this is the perfect result that they could have wished for. And celebrating here, loosens the arrow. Celebrating with his team. Much to the delight, I'm sure, of team principal Matthew Zangarelli. He'd be absolutely delighted with that. As the paddock now begins to flood once more with plenty of personnel. But what a way to kick off the season. 25 points additional will be going to his championship this time around. But we can also look in and see some of the other performances that we've seen already today. Again, I hark about Enzo Delaney, and for good reason. I mean, that was a decent drive, and he was right in the thick of the action. Whilst obviously he was on both sides of the argument, whether it was potentially losing a place or gaining a place, he brought the car home in a decent points position. Of course, we do follow the typical Formula One point system here in this championship, with 25 points going to a winner, all the way down to 1 single point. And we have an interview with Evan Gilter.
So congratulations, very tough race, a lot of safety car, but you did it.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Difficult weekend for us at the beginning, but then we come back a lot yesterday evening, working a lot on the car, making pole position this morning, and absolute track record like you told me on the grid. But yeah, really happy to get that first place, and we gained a lot of points on the championship, so that's a perfect weekend for now.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
So there we have it. Let's take a look at the highlights after that tremendous performance from Evan Gilter. Now leaving the grid, he stormed to the front, keeping Freddie Slater in behind. There was some side-by-side action as well further back. Enzo Delaney looking to creep past Matteo De Parlo, was unsuccessful that time around. Also, we saw Pedro Clero in the heat of the action as well, be impressed by Rashid Al Dahiri, as he quite rightly did against Evan Gilter in race 1. Just wasn't quite successful this time around. A huge impact for Giovanni Maschio into the concrete barriers. Brought the safety car out onto the circuit, but it wasn't long before we got back underway. Freddie Slater, of course, saw this as a potential opportunity to close the gap, but Gilter was just simply too strong on this occasion. We saw another moment, though, unfortunately, for Dion Gauda collecting Rashid Al Dahiri, and also the 31 RSGP belonging to Akshay Bora who would eventually find his way out of the gravel trap. Again, we were under safety car conditions before getting back underway. And indeed, it was still Evan Gilter who led them in towards turn one. Some more side-by-sides as well. Santalok were very strong right through the course of the weekend. Nikita Bedrin giving a grand account on his return to the championship, fighting tooth and nail to rise up through the order. We then saw a big moment here for Tim Gerdhardt, who eventually found himself around the outside of Valerio Rinicella, catching him on the left-hand side. This is something we didn't see during the course of the race, but of course Tim Gerdhardt then retiring. The checkered flag, though, was taken, and it was, for the first time this season, Evan Gilter victorious once more in the opening round of the weekend. And now we head to the podium for the trophies to be presented to our top three drivers and also to our winning rookie as well. But you have to say, a magnificent effort from all those inside the top three. Plenty of exchanges out on the circuit that was deemed to not be necessarily easy for overtaking, and I certainly don't doubt it, but credit to the drivers for giving us a show to end off the day. Of course, we'll wait for Evan Gilter to take to the top step. Freddie Slater on his return. Whilst it might have been misery yesterday, he can take solace from a decent performance to finish in second, and I'm sure there'll be many more to come. And with Spa having the greater track width and the variation in cornering and elevation, there'll be plenty to offer when we head there for round two. And that'll be on the 16th to the 18th of May, so in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, tutto a posto. Invitiamo I nostri cerimonieri qua con noi. Allora vorrei Raffaele Giammaria, Davide Gerosa.
So the announcements coming through now for the podium. Obviously coming into this one, the championship advantage would have been thrown into the hands of Matteo De Palo, but no doubt Evan Gilter has responded with the second place to the first place that will, without any doubt, place him as the championship leader, exiting out of round one, I should say. But he'll need to carry this form on. So Matteo De Palo for Trident Racing will be the first to jump onto the third step of the podium.
Arriva direttamente da Stratford a Podevon, Inghilterra, Team Prema, Freddie Slater.
And Freddie Slater will also join him as well. The young Prema driver. Prema have, of course, been responsible for the last few champions we have had here in the series ever since 2022, where Dino Beganovic took the championship, followed by Andrea Kibi-Antonelli and Rafael Camara, who now is performing well in F3. But it's Evan Gilter, your race winner. Of course, ART's last champion, Gregoire Saucy, back in 2021. Could this be the man to take them back to Drivers' Championship glory? We'll, of course, wait and see.
Raffaele Giammaria, trofeo che spetta al terzo classificato, giusto?
And the trophy's being presented first and foremost to the Trident driver Matteo De Palo, his second trophy collection of the weekend. Sure, he'll treasure that. Certainly has been a wonderful start to his season and on home soil. Freddie Slater will take a trophy home as well. I'm sure he'd much prefer the bigger one, but there'll be plenty of time in between now and the end of the season to do that. And now, the first place trophy presented to Evan Gilter, race winner once again. And finally, last but not least, we do, of course, have the rookie winner's trophy. First of all, though, the team's trophy going to ART. And they'll be absolutely thrilled with that. And Edouard Bourgner picking up the winning rookie trophy to boot. But what a wonderful race, what a wonderful weekend to kick-start the season. Here is the national anthem.
Un grande applauso al podio.
So the national anthem coming to a close, and now a photo on top of the podium. Evan Gilter, Freddie Slater, Matteo De Palo. I'm sure we'll see these three fighting up at the very front. That could be the story of this season's championship. But it's been an absolute pleasure taking you through the weekend for the first round of the 2025 Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine season. We go racing once again at Spa-Francorchamps on the 16th to the 18th of May. But folks, from all of us here at Misano, until next time, goodbye.